The Barenschacht is situated in the Bernese Obertand near Interlaken. It belongs to the karst or limestone region which extends to Schrattanfluh-Sieben, Hengste-Hohgant and Lake Thun. Beneath this ridge a huge system of caves lies hidden. The Sieben Hengste-Hohgant cave has already been explored over a length of 140 kilometers. This large cave is surrounded by other, smaller systems. The Barenschacht appears to be the lowest section of this enormous system extending towards Lake Thun. It takes its name from the finds of bones of bears and of bear paw prints that were discovered near the entrance in the 1960s. The entrance to the Barenschacht lies in the rock walls above Beatenberg. It provides the only access to its labyrinth low down, nearly level with Lake Thun, of which until now 40 kilometers have been explored.
Sei frei.
The descents are shafts of up to 40 meters depth. Precision and concentration is required of the explorers, and a 100% reliability of personal and other equipment and of the technical installations are vital prerequisites for safe movement within the Barenschacht. The Barenschacht was discovered in 1963. By 1965, a depth of 218 meters had been reached. Exploration was resumed in 1970. After extensive dyeing of the waters established the hydrological connection between Schrattanfluh and Lake Thun across a distance of over 25 kilometers. Under Franz Knuchel, the project Barenschacht was established in 1972 with a huge investment of people and material. Quote,
an uncompromising push forward by the advance party as far as a serious obstacle or, in the ideal case, the level of Lake Thun or the entrance to the Schrattanfluh system.
But the expedition ended at a depth of 586 meters at a siphon which was considered undivable. In 1974, Knuchel died, and it seemed that the Barenschacht era had come to a close. The interest of the explorers was directed towards other caves. Not until 1986 was Beat Brunold successful in overcoming the bottleneck at the beginning of the siphon after digging 6 meters below water level. He was able to explore approximately 50 meters of the narrow siphon. On the other side, he soon discovered a long, steeply descending passage and arrived at the top of great shafts. Later, together with Walter Kuysen and Philippe Rouillet, the first extensive expeditions started.
Soon after this discovery, the desire to overcome this difficult and dangerous siphon in one way or another made itself felt.
When someone had the idea to make a drift or tunnel above the siphon, I did not have to be asked twice. It was a challenge that fascinated me.
Such an undertaking required extensive preparations: electrical installations, telephone, water collection, a pier above the entrance to the siphon, and enlargement of access to the future tunnel. It soon became clear that the electric drill was inadequate. A third supply line, this time for compressed air, was needed. An installation of 1.5 kilometers in length to the site and 600 meters below ground.
hallo. Ja, ist gut, mir geht Strom. Gut, sag ich wem.
In a small kitchen set up in the vicinity of the siphon, the members of the drilling team can refresh themselves with hot tea. The supply lines have to be extended to the lengthening drift.
We would like to order some air.
Ja, ist gut, ja.
Ja, die Bohrerei in dem Stollen inne.
Drilling in that drift, I realised yet again that there is a proven method of doing it, which has been known for at least 50 years and has not changed since. It is not possible to adapt it for caves. Anything that is not done according to that method for building drifts does not work. We began by using an electric drill, but this was totally unsuccessful. There really was no alternative to using a conventional drill with irrigation to keep the dust down and to use a pusher leg. This machine proved its worth and we never had any problems with it. But the equipment that we had to construct ourselves gave us problems from time to time, with bit shearing off and with piston packing disintegrating. I had to rebuild the piston twice on site. Precision engineering in a cave is a bit of a problem, but somehow it worked. When something broke, however, we had to take the pusher leg out of the cave and take it home to be able to work on it properly.
In the quartzite, the wear on the drill bits was very heavy. 4 times the drill bits had to be sharpened to make the 20 holes which are needed to advance the drift by 1 metre.
For me, it was very important to proceed in a thoroughly systematic way. After so many hours of working, it is necessary to concentrate hard to get the wiring right, then to tidy everything away so that there is nothing left in the line of the explosion. The rest is only a detail, although quite an impressive one. The pressure wave of approximately 8 kilos of explosive going off at close range is very noticeable. For me, blasting was routine, but for all those who were new to it, it was an exciting thing to happen. Building up to a climax when, the job done and the end of a very long day, the time came to detonate. I generally gave that job to one of the helpers who had never done it before. They were often so nervous and excited that they hardly dared to press the button.
Das ist furchtbar aufregend gewesen. Ich habe fast nicht getraut, den Schalter umzudrücken.
3, 2, 1, zurück. Geil!
20 minutes away from the drift,
Everybody who did the cooking brought their own style, and this produced some fantastic meals. Occasionally someone thought it was awful, but on the whole it was good. So good indeed that they were all eating out of the same pan. You risked burning your palate because you wanted to spoon up the hot food while there was still plenty left. However, nobody starved.
So mit der Zeit, wo sich die Sache mal eingespielt hat, hat es eigentlich immer einen ähnlichen Tagesablauf gegeben, oder respektive Wochenendablauf. Sind also da der Regel haben wir einfach
In time, the course of the day or the weekend fell into a pattern. On the whole, we would arrange to meet at the bivouac. Everyone came to Beatenberg on Friday evening, and then on to the site. Sometimes we met outside, setting up the machinery in preparation of the work. Then move individually onto the bivouac. Early in the morning the alarm bleeped and it became a matter of, well, someone should.
Und am Morgen hat dann einmal der Wecker geschellt, respektive piepst. Und danach ist eben die Sache gekommen, so.
Ja, das Problem war ja, Veni hat sich schlussendlich angeschissen.
The problem was, Werner complained eventually that it was always he who was getting up first. This is only natural. He was the one who went to bed last and the one who worked hardest. And then he expected to get up first too. And of course, the one who gets up first makes breakfast. Should Werner do this too? It was therefore understandable that he waited for someone else to make the first move.
Blasting produces poisonous gases. We keep a constant check on carbon monoxide levels with electronic equipment, both during work and at all other times too. After blasting, most of the poisonous gases are sucked away with the help of a vacuum cleaner on the outside, through the hose that usually carries the pressurized air.
Someone asked me if I wanted to make a film. I said yes, and he just said he'd come along one weekend. I thought, this is cool. I go along and find I have to shunt wagons and help to build the drift with the rest. Then Werner does more drilling. This and the shunting I want to film. Then Werner goes back for the blasting. This is when it first dawned on me that there was blasting involved. It had a mega effect. He tells me to put 2 wires together. There are, I don't know how many kilos of explosives in the rock face.
Stollenbrust sagt Annika, so jetzt tust du die zwei Rötchen zusammen tun. Und ich so die Stollenbrust gesehen, wie viele Kilo sind da drin?
1, 2, 3.
Schön. Ja, wenn du irgendwie da vorne gehockt bist und
You were usually forced to sit in an uncomfortable position with no room and in the wet because it had probably been raining outside. Then load the debris into the wagons with a small shovel. The pain was that you had to handle everything several times before it got to the wagons. You were constantly trying to find the most efficient way of doing this, loading into a bucket, then tipping it out from that, always hoping that the pile would get smaller. It usually took a long time. It seemed like a never-ending mountain. After about 10 wagon loads, you felt you had progressed a little.
I worked a 7-day week on the project, since during the week all the preparations had to be made at home in the workshop. Particularly at the beginning, a lot of equipment had to be purpose-built. For instance, the pit railway to move the 120 tons of stone. Rails were available, but the wagons had to be built. It was possible to buy small wheels, but they were made of polyamide, which swells in the damp conditions. Soon the little wheels stopped turning. They had to be taken to the workshop and to be drilled out, have ball bearings fitted and new axles made to fit. Made from chrome steel, they needed to be cold turned to avoid blunting the cutting tools, and threads had to be cut. These axles required many hours' work.
Kugellager einbauen und entsprechend auch die Achsen dafür drehen. Die Achsen sind aus Chromstahl. Das ist eine ziemlich mühsame Sache zum Drehen. Muss man gut kühlen, dass einem der Drehstahl nicht verschmort, dass er einigermaßen scharf bleibt. Und dann nachher Gewinde reinschneiden. Die Achsen sind noch relativ aufwendige Teile. Und das sind also einige Stunden Arbeit gewesen.
In all, 120 tons of stones had to be transported over 150 metres.
Was ist das? Filmkamera? Ja, nein. Wie in dieser Teufel.
It took a long time, but we have made it. I am the vanguard.
Ich bin Vorhut.
After 42 meters of drift, we have managed to break through. The goal of our Herculean efforts has been reached. The joy about the success makes us forget all the strains and pains we have endured for the last 3 years. A biting draught is blowing towards us. The cave is drawing breath. But with it, some of the special atmosphere of the exploration behind the siphon evaporates. The joy about opening a greater system to more explorers is tinged with some regret. The work is not finished yet. We must not leave the passage open. 2 strong doors shut it off tightly and thus protect the system from unnatural weathering and erosion. Now all the installations and equipment have to be removed and the area around the siphon must be allowed to return to its natural state.